What's going on, everyone? The Los Angeles Lakers had quite the offseason so far. It has worked out great. The Lakers upgraded on the guys that they missed out on or the guys that left and really have built this well-balanced, sizable, versatile type roster, right? The smallest guy on our roster is Gabe Vincent at 6'3". Everyone else is 6'5" and above, and almost all of them are like 6'7", 6'8". It is so nice to go from that to what we started last year with, where it was like all guards and all of them were like 6 feet tall. That's a big change and we went the complete opposite side of the spectrum. And with that, there's going to be a lot that Darvin Ham is going to have to deal with, right? Darvin Ham is absolutely going to have his hands full in trying to figure out where and how to get all of these guys not only clicking and building that chemistry and working towards a common goal, but get them minutes, right? Like, how do you find the minutes and opportunity for everybody that is on this roster? Now, the guards don't really think I'll have a problem. Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, they'll be fine. They're going to all play their 25 minutes a game, 30 minutes a game. They'll be good because there's not really much competition in that regard, right? But the 3 and 4 spot, it's going to be tough. And especially if the Lakers are planning on playing Anthony Davis significant minutes at the 4. Like, if Anthony Davis was fully committed and bought in to playing the center position like he did last year, then I don't think it would be that big of a problem. But Anthony Davis wants to play the 4. The Lakers have publicly made it known that they went and got a Jackson Hayes and are looking for another center just so Anthony Davis can play the 4, right? Like, they want to get back to the 2020 type standard where they have multiple bigs that do multiple things that can, run different lineups, different looks, different sets. There's even talks about the Lakers starting Jackson Hayes at the 5 and getting an early look at what AD and Hayes look like on the court together. So if that becomes a thing, then that makes it even harder to find minutes for everybody. Because Anthony Davis, let's say he plays 30 minutes total, right? On a nightly basis. And let's say he splits between the 5 and the 4. That means he's playing 15 minutes at the 4. LeBron James is probably going to play, let's say, 30 minutes. And let's say he splits between the 3 and the 4. That means he's probably playing 15 minutes at the 4. So now you have basically 30 minutes of a game tied up at the 4 spot. So yes, that leaves 18 minutes. So maybe like a Rui Hachimura, he can play those 18 minutes at the 4, right? And that gets him that. And then you kind of fill him in another, 3 minutes or whatever at the 3. And then there you go. Now he's gotten his 20 minutes. But it's not just Rui Hachimura, right? You got Jared Vanderbilt. You got Cam Reddish. You got Maxwell Lewis if you're ever going to play him any minutes. You got Taurean Prince, right? Max Christie could play the 3, although I think he plays the 2 more than anything. So how do you make room for the 3 spot when you only have, again, probably 25 minutes available at that position, maybe 30, right? Because if LeBron's splitting 15 minutes at the 3, then that only leaves 33 minutes left for that, right? And you got to basically divvy that up between 5 guys. And that's not even counting if you end up landing Christian Wood, right? If the Lakers do indeed sign Christian Wood, then basically all the minutes at the 4 spot are probably gone because you are going to have to play. You're probably playing Christian Wood at least 20 minutes a game. And even if you play him 15 minutes a game, he's probably playing all of them, if not most of them, at the 4 because he's better suited for the 4 than the 5. Can you play him at the 5? Sure. Right? So let's say he plays 20 minutes. Let's say he splits, right? Let's say he plays 10 minutes a night at center and 10 minutes a night at the forward spot. Well, like I said, you have 30 minutes already invested into the power forward spot. Now you have Christian Woods 10 minutes. So then there goes. So now you have 8 minutes available at the power forward spot. Say Rui gets those 8 minutes. Now you need to find another 10 to 15 minutes for Rui at the three. Right? So now you see this conundrum, you see the issue, you see the difficulty. Now there are ways to go about it, right? So let's say we'll look at it with Christian Wood and without Christian Wood. So with Christian Wood, you're not playing Lewis regardless. So there's one problem solved. And then now you have Taurean Prince, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, and Cam Reddish. So that's 4 guys that you need to find minutes behind LeBron James at the 3 spot. And you only have, like I said, 33 minutes. So you basically have 4 guys that you need to figure it out for. You could divvy that up and all of them get 9 minutes a game, but I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be happy or content with that. And if you don't do Christian Wood, then again, now you have Rui, so now you just got to get him another 5 minutes. So now you have basically 28 minutes to divide between 3 guys, but it's still only 9 minutes a game. So how do you figure that out? Who's the odd man out in this scenario? Now, you could move Taurean Prince to the 2 guard, but then that takes away from Christie and Christie's development, right? And Taurean Prince, it's not like he's played the shooting guard a lot, although the shooting guard and the small forward at this point in the NBA are essentially the same thing. That's why you see most shooting guards just shift over to the 3 spot, right? Desmond Baines just shifts over to the 3 spot. Klay Thompson just shifts over to the 3 spot. Austin Reeves even switched over to the 3 spot, right? It's just the 3 and the 2 are basically interchangeable, and a lot of the guys are essentially the same height at this point in the history of the game. So Taurean Prince, he's 6'6", 6'7", 3-and-D, 38% 3-point shooter, can play defense, right? And he's guarded many shooting guards before. I know he primarily has played power forward or small forward, but he is more than capable of defending most shooting guards, right? If it becomes a problem, you figure it out. Plus, not just that, he's coming off the bench. He's a guy that you can always take out at any point. So let's say you move Taurean Prince. So, okay, now you can basically give Jared Vanderbilt and everyone else, you could basically give them the remainder of the minutes at the 3. Again, if you don't have Christian Wood. If you do have Christian Wood, then now you are in a tough position. Because again, now even if you move Taurean Prince to the 2, right? And let's say you give him 15 minutes or whatever at the 2. Well, now you still have Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, Cam Reddish, that all need time at the 3, and you only have, like I said, 28 minutes to play with. So I think ultimately, when you really look at it and break it down, I really think Cam Reddish is the odd man out, which sucks because I am super high on Cam Reddish. I really like Cam Reddish. I really wanted him to come to Lakers and get a real opportunity. I just don't know where he plays often. I'm not saying that every night he's only going to get he's going to get DNPs or 5 minutes or something like that. But I do think he is a very minimal player, right? For the most part. Now, LeBron James and Anthony Davis are probably missing 20-plus games this year. So when that happens, there will be more minutes for Cam Reddish and everyone else, and they can navigate that and figure it out. But Cam Reddish isn't better than Taurean Prince. He's not better than Jared Vanderbilt, and he's not better than Rui Hachimura right now, right? Can he one day be? Sure. It's, of course. I am super high on Cam Reddish. I just think he needs the opportunity. I think the Lakers signed Cam Reddish for the long term. I think they brought him in to be another young development guy on their roster for, tomorrow, so to speak. Not for necessarily this year. I think that they wanted Cam Reddish because he's a guy that you look at and you go, okay, well, we signed Cam Reddish. We can kind of convince him to stay here long term. He's a guy that we've wanted for a long time. He he buys in, he plays his role, all that stuff, then, whenever LeBron leaves and this roster looks different and we kind of let the youth movement take over, Cam Reddish is going to be a huge part of that. So that's kind of how I look at it. I really think the young guys are the odd man out. I think more than likely not, the Max Christies, the Cam Reddishes, the Shafinos, the Lewises, those are the guys that are more likely than not going to be the fewest minutes played, right? And look, I hope that they figure it out, right? I hope that they're able to, I don't know, somehow maybe LeBron's okay with playing 25 minutes a game, right? And or maybe the Lakers are just that good that they're just blowing everybody out, and you're just by choice, or by just dominance, you're sitting Anthony Davis and LeBron James and only playing them like 20 minutes a night. But in reality, they're going to get at least 30 minutes, and then you got to find minutes for everyone else. And especially if you get Christian Wood, you're going to have to play him some minutes, some significant minutes. It's just which is crazy. I mean, this is a good problem to have. I'm not complaining about this by any means. This is a very good problem to have. And it's just such a breath of fresh air compared to last year where it's like, well, where are we going to get all the minutes for all our guards? Right? There's a big difference between, trying to find minutes for a bunch of 6-foot guys and trying to find minutes for a bunch of 6'8", 3-and-D guys. Right? Like, the Lakers did really well. But the more you look at it, the more you think about it, it's just Cam Reddish is probably the one that gets voted off the island as far as playing time goes, right? And again, this doesn't mean that don't take this as like he's never going to see the court, he's never going to see the floor, he's never going to have a night where he plays 30 minutes, stuff like that. He will. I fully expect him to play, maybe even plays on a nightly basis, but I don't think it's going to be meaningful or real minutes, right? I do think early on, Darvin Ham will kind of play with stuff, right? Because that's what you want to do, especially early on, right? Like, what is a lineup of like LeBron at the point, Taurean Prince at the 2, Jared Vanderbilt at the 3, and Cam Reddish at the 4, with AD at the 5 look like, right? Or we're on a small ball lineup, like Rui at the 5, Reddish at the 4, Vando at the 3, LeBron at the 1, and then Prince or Reeves at the 2, right? Like, which actually that'd be pretty great. Imagine that as like a small ball lineup. It's a really big small ball lineup. But you get my point. Like, I expect Darvin Ham to kind of play around and test little pieces and rotations and lineups and do the carousel of players on a nightly basis. But I don't know how long that lasts, right? Because at some point you want to start, especially if you're not like you're going to want to go on runs, you're going to want to win games, you're going to want to you get out your kinks early on, right? You figure out, you do the lineups that you probably never would have done. You do those early on. Right, if there's a lineup on this Lakers roster that you're like, that lineup is probably terrible, you throw that lineup game 3 of the regular season and you see what it looks like, right? You don't do that game 68, right? Like, so I do expect him to possibly early on kind of get some minutes and with just experimentation and stuff like that. But I think as we move to like the midpoint of the season, post All-Star break, when everyone is now buckling down and making their pushes for the playoffs, that's when I think he just kind of fades away. Right? You saw it with like Lonnie Walker and guys like that. I just think Cam Reddish is more likely than not going to be the odd man out, which sucks because I am huge on Cam Reddish. But this roster is stacked. And look, I want to win more than I want Cam Reddish to play. If Cam Reddish never sees the basketball court ever this year, but the Lakers win the NBA championship, I don't care, right? As long as they win the NBA championship. But I am high on Cam Reddish. I do really like him, but I think he was that like, hey, let's get you on this roster, start developing you, let's start putting you in position for longevity to be a part of this roster long term. That's what I think the Lakers got Cam Reddish for. But those are my thoughts and opinions, and as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comments below. What do you think? Think Cam Reddish ultimately becomes the odd man out? Do you think it's somebody else? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it.